It's time for Wrestling for the Culture, where we take a look inside to see what the wrestlers of color have been doing this week. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this edition of Wrestling for the Culture. I'm your host, Brian H. Waters. On this edition, I talk with the Hitman for Hire, Mr. Grimm. We get into how his career started. We discuss the body bag you may see in his videos that he puts wrestlers in the body bags and take them to the back after he's done with them, as well as the multiple championships he won. So, ladies and gentlemen, here's my interview with the Hitman for Hire, Mr. Grimm. All right, ladies and gentlemen, as promised, I have the Hitman for Hire on the line, Mr. Grimm. What's going on, man? How you feeling today?
What's up, man? How are you?
Pretty good, man. I know you been making a living putting bodies in body bags, man. What made you really what got you started with that?
What, the body bags?
Yeah, what was the inspiration behind that?
Nyla Rose.
Oh, really?
It literally started I was just minding my business one day, and then she called me and was like, "Yo, Grimm, Amazon has body bags on sale for $20. Take that information and do what you want with it." So as soon as we got off the phone, I went to Amazon and ordered a $20 body bag.
Oh, wow. So how many bodies have or let's just say, I'm gonna ask you this: how much money have you spent on body bags?
I would say over $150.
Okay. Now, how long you been in the business? Tell the people how long you've been in the business and what got you into wrestling.
Well, I've been in the business for 6 years now.
Mhm.
And I actually got in the business, kind of fell into it by accident. I was playing football in college, and one day, my van had broke down, and I wasn't able to go back, up to school because I had to get money to, get another car. And I started doing security. And my friend, he hit me up and was like, "Yo, you trying to do security for a wrestling show?" Me, I was thinking, all right, get paid to watch wrestling for real. And when I got there, that's when I saw, Black G's, Mia Yim, Kendrick Kamari, Greg Excellence, Christian York. And, just being backstage, it was like a whole different experience because that was actually my first time going to an indie show.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm seeing the whole process of them calling the match, the catering and stuff like that. So I just started networking. I asked them, I was like, "Hey, what would I have to do to be a wrestler?" And, they told me you got to find a school, start training and then go from there.
Oh, wow. And what school did you go to?
Well, I started going to Gilberg's at first. I went there a couple of times, and then, I was like, yeah, I can't afford to pay this. So then I stopped for a while and then went to EWA and Dundalk.
Cool. And how would you say your experience has been there, especially working under a local legend like Jim Christensen?
As far as training,
Mm-hmm.
to be completely honest, when I started training with Blood, everything was cool. But when it switched from Blood to Chris Burns, things got a little weird. And, then after that, I stopped, going to his classes and started going to Matt Wild, training days. And that's where I learned a lot of, the stuff that I do now.
Okay. And you also been training with Nick, right? Have you been training with I should say Skull?
Yeah.
Okay. And how's that been? Because I've actually, just to kind of break the fourth wall here, I was able to see you kind of mentor some of the newer students, going out there and just giving them the pointers that they need. We was doing a photo shoot with our good friend Blake, also known as Blizz, and I watched you kind of sit in the room and just kind of let these kids know what they can expect from the business. You talk about what it means to be able to give back, even such 6 years still early in your career, but what it means to give back to the business already.
Yeah, like one thing that people have to realize is, you know, when you're outside of the business looking in, the only thing you're thinking about is, going to these shows, performing in front of fans, and, of course, making money and like winning titles. But what you don't realize until you get in the business is that it's a process. And you have to realize you need to be, you have to play your part. You have to be respectful. You know, it's kind of like being in the military, I would say. You know how like when you first start out, it's like you're I believe the private or something like that. Like you need to shut up while people are talking and take all the information in that you can. And that was one of my biggest issues when I first started in the business because I'm very vocal about anything. If I don't like something, I'll address it or say what I need to say. And it took me a while to learn that hey, it's some battles that are worth fighting and others that aren't. So now what I do is, I just try to pay it forward and, help these newer guys to not have to go through, the struggles that I went through because of my mouth and, my poor choice of etiquette.
Now, you talked about titles, right? They always say it's a couple things. So you'll never hear me, and I tell people this all the time. You'll never hear me use the word fake when it comes to professional wrestling because of people like you who go out there and put your body on the line for our um, entertainment. But there are some real moments. And the word is, your first title win is real. Can you take us to the first time you won a championship for a company?
Yeah, it was the Valor Tag Team Championship. And it was kind of like an impromptu thing. I didn't really expect to be in the position that I was in. But honestly, me winning my first title wasn't really as monumental as I thought it would be.
Okay.
But I would say the title that I won that I would say that really, really meant something at first was when I won the Nova Promotions title.
Hmm.
That one was in Rhode Island, and I won it through like it was a tournament that they had that was called the Zarba Cup. And I mean, it's like when you have I believe it's like 16 people in the tournament, and it's like a 1 day tournament. So I
Okay.
literally, started from the bottom, and ended up winning the title that night.
Wow. Did you have
And
family in the audience? Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I didn't have, I mean, I had my sons were there with me, but like what made it special was because, when I first started with the company, you know, it was just like I was just that guy, like that random guy that's coming in to wrestle.
Hmm.
But when I won the title, I worked my ass off to get to where I needed to be in that position. Like so, I literally started like at the bottom of the card and worked my way up.
Wow. Amazing. Now, currently you're still the C3W champion, right?
Yes, I am the C3W champion. I'm the Wrestlers Laboratory Nucleus champion as well as the Wrestlers Laboratory champion. I'm the 1CW heavyweight champion, and I'm the Raise the Bar heavyweight champion.
Oh wow. So you just racking up all the belts for the culture.
Got to, man.
um Out of all those, which one was the biggest win? And I don't want to. Yeah, I know. I know you probably don't want to be put on the spot, but I guess what was the most memorable one?
The most memorable one was I would have to say it's kind of a tie between the Wrestlers Laboratory Championship
Mm-hmm.
and the C3W one, because I'm sure like it's a lot of people that probably don't know what C3W is, but C3W is a black owned wrestling promotion.
Yep.
And once again, I wasn't supposed to be in that match. Like, I was supposed to have a body bag match.
Uh-huh.
So I ended up getting taken out of that match, and they ended up putting me in the main event. And, the show was in Temple Hills, and, that's where I went to high school at. I had family come out there. My two daughters were out there. My best friend was there. I had, like, fans that even saw me wrestle at, Primetime in D.C. They came out, to check me out. And, winning that title, that moment, it was just, it was just crazy, honestly, because I'm not sure if you know who DJ Quicksilver is, but he was there.
He went to my high school.
Yeah, like, he was in the audience that night.
Okay.
And after the show, I'm telling you, like, that show was just crazy, because I've never been to a show where, they had bottle service. Like, you go
Right.
to a black-owned show, they had bottle service. And as soon as I win, they're coming up to the ring, like, the crowd, the fans, they just, just ran to the ring. Everybody was trying to get pictures with me. And, it's crazy, man.
Yeah, I
It just
remember.
really felt good to, be in that position, especially in a town where I lived for a while and, graduated high school in.
Yeah, I remember seeing the photos on Instagram. I was actually out of town, so I couldn't make that show. Shout out to a good friend, Dr. D. I remember seeing the photos, and I know I can say I was proud. We've known each other for quite a few years. Shout out to our good friend Amber Rodriguez. And she the one who, definitely told me to reach out. And I know you and I have been trying to work something out for the longest time. So I'm happy we're finally able to do this. But I know I was proud to see you celebrating with the title. Did your friends think you were working them, especially you win the title that at a show that, they were all at? And, I'm pretty sure they was expecting. Did you tell them you were going to be in the body bag match originally?
Well, it was advertised at first, but then they started advertising me in the three-way.
Mm-hmm.
So, so by then they already knew that it was a three-way. But it ended up
Okay.
being a singles match between me and Chris Slade, who, I had heat with.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we had like some exchanges going on. But the other guy, BJ Walker, who was in our match, like, he got there late and couldn't get seen by the athletic commission.
Yeah, you know how
So
Maryland is.
yeah, they ended up, like, he couldn't wrestle, so it ended up being a singles match.
Wow. Now, who's been like you've been a fan all your life, I'm sure, right? Or at least
Yes,
most of your life.
yes.
Who's been like some of your favorites to watch growing up?
Well, when I was really young, like, my favorite to watch was Hulk Hogan. But as I, started getting older and, watching like WCW, because, during the Monday Night Wars, I was a WCW guy.
Okay.
I enjoyed watching Dean Malenko and Chris Benoit.
Oh,
Like, those
nice.
are my two favorite to watch. But
Now,
once I started watching like WWF or WWE, like, I started liking Brock Lesnar. Like,
okay.
I've been a fan since Brock, since he came, and I want to say it was the Hardy Boys who he came in, and or was it Spike Dudley? Whoever he came in that first time and like interrupted their match and then gave him the F5, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna like that dude.
That's your guy. So what would you say has been your biggest accomplishment in 2019 as we get ready to close out the year and the decade? What's been your biggest accomplishment this year?
In wrestling or in general?
Let's start with wrestling, then we'll move to general.
I would say in wrestling, like, just being able to continue to get myself out there and to get on shows that a lot of people in my area can't get on.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not too many people in my area who can say that they've, been a stable, you know, at Limitless Wrestling. Like Limitless Wrestling is like one of the hottest things on the indies right now. And
Mhm.
I earned an opportunity to wrestle there, and I was on their roster for like a whole year. So and it's always and another thing, just being able to like continue to open eyes because a lot of people look at me. I'm like a 280-pound guy, who's doing stuff that cruiserweights can do. So it's like always, being that book that you really can't judge by its cover.
How does that work? Like, how do you work on your ups and defy the laws of gravity to do some of the stuff that you do, man?
I mean, it came from the athletics that I did in high school. In high school, I played football. I, played basketball. Like as I was like when I was playing basketball, my mother had bought me these things called jump soles, and it's like you literally wear them on your tippy toes and you walk with them, and it helps you to be able to jump higher and stuff. So I literally wore those for like 6 months straight, and then I was able to dunk. After wearing them. So that I don't know if I already said I was a cheerleader, but I was a cheerleader. I ran track, wrestled, and everything that I've done, like at that point, has helped me, when wrestling.
So you feel like the business has been calling you, even though you were playing football. You feel like the business was calling you.
I wouldn't say that it was calling me, but I do feel that my van, you know, it wasn't a coincidence that my van broke down and that I ended up doing security. And then, my friend ended up randomly hitting me up out of all the people he could have hit me up to ask me if I wanted to do security for a wrestling show.
Hmm. That's amazing, man. And then, what would you say outside of wrestling has been your biggest accomplishment, if you want to share?
I would say, just continuing to be in nothing like my dad
Hmm.
because, my dad wasn't there for me. And I try to make sure that I'm in every part of my kids' lives because I don't want them to feel how I felt, back when I was younger. So like any time that I get a chance to take my kids on the road with me, I take them. Like my kids have made more towns than some of these wrestlers out here.
And how do they like the locker room?
Um, well, the only two that have really been in the locker room is my oldest and my youngest.
Okay.
My oldest, he did the spot with Joey Janela in the body bag match.
Hmm.
I'm not sure. Did you see that clip?
I gotta find it. I ain't see it, but yeah, definitely
So
send that to me.
literally, he chopped Joey Janela, and then Joey Janela like kicked him, and then I mean he bumped and like sold it good, and then Joey Janela threw him in a trash can and like rolled him into a table,
Oh wow.
and then like my youngest daughter, like she goes in the locker room with me, and it's funny because she was just in the locker room with me in Delaware on Saturday, and I
Mhm.
taught her how to like shake people's hands. So every time we go up to a person, she goes to shake their hand.
Yeah. Now, how would you feel your kids come to you and say, "Dad, I want to be a wrestler"? Are you for it, or are you against it, or
Well,
tell
I
them to
mean,
wait?
my oldest, I'm already training him to be one. Like,
Right.
we go up to Nick's, and I've been training him, so he's on his way. But
Okay.
to be honest, I encourage my kids to do anything that they want to do. I mean,
Right.
hell, if my daughter wants to play water polo, like
Mm.
I'll be very supportive, and I'll be in the pool right there with her.
And I definitely want to give you your props, man, because I know as a father myself, it's hard to balance, but it's important to balance. And it's not impossible. Some people may think it's impossible, but it's not. So, I definitely give you your props because you're able to be successful in wrestling. But I know the most important thing for you to be successful at is being a father, and you're doing a phenomenal job. So I
I
definitely
appreciate
want
that.
to give you, your props. You know, um, Now look into 2020. What's your biggest goal?
Honestly, in 2020, I want to be signed somewhere.
Okay.
Like I'm not tired of hearing it, but it's really, frustrating when I hear all these people and it's good people, legit talent saying, "Yo, you should be signed somewhere. Like you need to be on somebody's roster that's on TV, like on a bigger scale." People like my work. People know who I am, and it's weird because when I went up and did that work with MLW,
Yep.
like Simon Gotch knew who I was. Like, and he's one of the guys that's been helping me out as of late. But it's frustrating when people know who you are, know what you can do, but it's like you're still stuck. Like you just can't really get over that hump.
Mm-hmm.
And I
What?
really feel that what's stopping me or holding me back is just not being in front of the right people.
Right. Well, definitely see that coming for you in 2020. Would you say like you mentioned Simon Gotch? Is there anybody else out there who may have been on TV or maybe somebody you even looked up to that probably surprised you when you found out they knew who you were?
Let me think. Yeah, Michael Elgin.
Oh, okay.
Because I had messaged him one day. Or no. He had I'd added him on Twitter, and he had replied back to me, and he was saying, keep doing your thing. I'm seeing your name pop up everywhere. So just keep up the good work. I was like, damn, I had no idea that Michael Elgin knew who I was.
And I'm gonna let you out here. Like I know it's late, but real quick, let the people know where they can find you on social media, and let them know about your upcoming shows.
All right, so the best way to find me on social media, just go to the Google search and put in either Mr. Grimm Wrestler with one M, or put in the Hitman for Hire Mr. Grimm, and you'll see like all of my social media pop up. You'll see my YouTube come up, the Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and the upcoming shows that I have this weekend. I will be at Rocky Top Promotions. That'll be on Friday. That's in Tennessee. Then I'll
Mhm.
be at Warriors of Wrestling on that Saturday. That's in New York. So I'm literally going from Tennessee to New York.
Wow.
Then next week I'll be in Temple Hills, Maryland for C3W. I'll be defending my title against Hyena Hex. He's a product of the Monster Factory. So
Cool.
as of right now, that's really all that I have for the rest of the year.
All right. Any bookings for 2020 and set in stone yet?
Yes, I'm actually booked for, as of right now, 3 shows during Mania week. I'll be working for one of the GCWs, not Game Changer, but Generation. That's the
Hmm.
one based in Florida. Then 1CW has a show out there too. So as of right now, that's really all I have for Mania week. But I'm definitely looking to fill more dates. Um, January, I want to say the 4th. Hold on, let me look. Let me check my calendar real quick. Yeah, January 4th, which is a Saturday, I'll be at Battle Club.
Okay.
Um, it's a possibility the night before on January 3rd, I might be at Standalone Wrestling or like Pro Wrestling After Dark.
Hmm.
And February 14th, I'll be at C3W on Valentine's Day. That's a Friday. And the 29th of February, which is still pending, but possibly 1CW in Delaware.
Nice. Do you plan to go to WrestleMania?
No, not at
Is it?
all.
It's not cool to go if you're working.
No, it's not that. But honestly, like, I would rather spend that money on my kids opposed to paying all that money for a ticket
Okay.
because it's not cheap to go to WrestleMania.
Not if you want to see. I went, what was it WrestleMania 33, and I was in the nosebleeds, and I said, you know what? I was happy. I wouldn't trade it in for the world, but nah, never again. I've wanted to go this year, but we'll see.
I mean, it's definitely something that's on my bucket list.
Hmm.
But I mean, right now, I'm just, you know, trying to be on TV and not really paying for a seat, if that makes sense.
No, it definitely makes sense. Like I said, I definitely understand, where you're coming from on that one. And I'm not just saying this because you granted me this interview. I I'm telling you the truth. I do think it's just a matter of time before we do see you on television. Because, like I said, I mean, I watched you from I think the first time we met in person was probably like 2012 or 13ish or something like that. I mean, these years have been flying by. Or maybe it was 2015. And I've watched your career progress. And I've watched you own that character and really get comfortable with it. So it's a matter of time, man. Keep up the good work. And
Appreciate
you-
that, man.
yeah, no problem, man. And I definitely looking to do this again soon. As we stay updated, make sure just keep sending in your stuff. When you do something, I want to see on I would keep you featured on Wrestling for the Culture because you out there putting on. So I want to make sure that people, all audiences, see if we can reach as many audiences as possible.
I appreciate that, man.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, he is the Hitman for Hire, Mr. Grimm. Make sure you guys give him a follow on all social media platforms. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so that will do it. Make sure you are subscribed to the Wrestling Realms YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe on all podcast platforms, including Apple, Spotify, and Google. And coming up this week is the 100th edition, the 100th episode of Break It Down with Brian H. So you will want to tune into that as I break down the decade. So until the next time, folks, I'm Brian H. Waters. So long, everybody.